Hello, my friend. So, I've had a bit of a break from it again. Just had a lot going on. Been working on building the businesses back up, and the health has been interesting as I go through this new stage, which I'll talk more about in a few videos. I want to prioritize the journal right now. But thanks for if you're coming to day 9. That means you've been with me on this 8-day trip through the ancient forest. It's not been boring, has it? So, thank you very much. And today was the 7th of November 2025. It's my 9th entry. Or was it the 10th by now? It all becomes a muddle. I put 9, but I feel like we started at 0. Anyway, irrelevant. Today we have a arrow over the sun and a cloud. And it's Friday. Let's begin. Funny enough, it's about 5 in the evening again. Part 1 with so much happening again. So last night, it was as intense as it's been, really. I was woken with this incredible heat and panic rushing through me. And the density became so painful. I remember that. It was like the rest had been, but this was like next level. I know I keep saying that because it was just, I literally might die of overheating. I'm really not joking. Yeah, I remember it was like, I thought, oh, my body must be going into some sort of over-inflammation, some sort of, I don't even know. It's hard. The mind's trying to grasp onto things. By the way, we've got workmen next door, so sorry if you just start hearing a drill or banging, but one of them things, it's part of the video. Maybe it'll come out in editing. So, as calmly as I could, I went outside in the pitch black and I had a cold shower with a bucket and jug. So it's like 2 in the morning and I was like, I'm so hot. My body's going through so much. I just got my bucket and my jug and I thought I didn't have a shower yesterday. 2 a.m. I was like, fuck. And then I went freezing. Couldn't win. Then I was freezing, obviously. Then boiling again. It got that overwhelming, I accepted death. And I don't just mean like, I accept death. I mean, I was convinced I was going to die. It was everything that was happening to my body and my mind was like, this has got to be it. And I just thought, I'll literally say it here. I thought, I'm not going to panic. I'll just be present and love myself until I pass. And I know saying it sounds a bit like, it's not really tapping into the emotion of the moment, but like, I was just ready for it. I was just like, fine, I'm done running. I came to this forest because I'm sick of running. And if this is it, I'm going to go out in the moment, not thinking of the future or past, and I'm going to be as loving to myself as I can be. Because that's what always works. And I calmed with this letting go of my life. And meditated until I managed to get some sleep. Yeah, it's mad. I was drifting into sleep and it was nice at that point. All the people who had loved me over my life, whether it was people I'd considered enemies by this point or people who had betrayed me or people where I'd betrayed or just people I loved like my friends, my family. And they were just I saw all the faces just looking at me and I could feel the love that they felt for me in that moment. And it was like, oh, that's so nice. And a part of me was like, why do you need them? It was like, I'd always sought that love outside of myself because I didn't think I was worthy of it. And in that moment, I became that loving awareness. Not loving a part of me, but loving the whole of me as the loving awareness that's underneath all the identities and pain and suffering and panic and all that. That was nice. I woke to feeling like I couldn't breathe. In the dream, Zlatan Ibrahimovic randomly. If you don't know who that is, that's a Swedish footballer who used to play for Manchester United. He was on top of me. He's a big guy as well, which triggers a memory I get sometimes of not being able to get air or away from a dog pile in primary school. Yeah, I remember, I think I scored a goal in primary school and all the lads jumped on me, but I couldn't breathe. And the panic I felt was like these panic attacks. I remember that being one of the third. It sticks. Like I can feel them all. I can remember who it was, and it was like, ah. As the floodgates are open right now, this was followed by the realization I didn't think I was worthy of love. I kept getting memories in my difficult moment of people showing me love, like that's what I've already said it, mum, family, friends, etc. And this was really comforting in the moment. And then something realised I must have something in me worth loving. I didn't really think I was worthy of love. Well, I am. And so are the rest of you. I'm doing that thing as if I'm talking to somebody now, still. Let's just get used to that. Getting a bit better at calm, loving awareness when these intense sensations arise, which is constantly now, it seems. I went for a walk to get out and get fresh air, but as I went to get up to go, I broke down again. And I mean big time. It felt like I was a small baby who was screaming for its mummy. It didn't know where she was, and nobody was here to comfort baby Michael. So I did. Not by distracting, not by talking, but by being calm, loving presence, until it felt soothed enough. That was mad, that one. Like, I literally felt like a baby. Like, here's the thing with meditation. You become present, you become the witness behind it all. So rather than me being like, I was the baby crying, I was witnessing it. But it was this thing that had been trapped in me. It must have been when I was a baby. And it was just, I could feel like it didn't know where its mum was. And it was probably just something as simple as she'd fucking gone out for half an hour, like parents do, and left me with somebody else. But it was like, I could just feel this feeling of abandonment, which meant that I was going to die. That's how it felt to the baby. And it was just screaming. And as I was on the floor, I'm the one crying and screaming. And I'm like, I'll just be with it for as long as. And it just started to slowly soothe until it became, well, until it was released, really. Then I went for a walk, and it broke me down again. I felt shame arise. One moment, another episode is about to start. Right, so I've put in brackets, one moment, another episode is about to start, about being afraid to die, ... Joy. I always bring the fucking humour in, even when that's happening. All right, so we've gone from that to, hey, so it's almost 2 a.m. So that was a big one. And I'm thinking after that last episode of Trauma Release, ridiculous experience, which I'll get to in brackets, I'm going to have to reevaluate how I'm approaching my time here. You think? But I'll explain more from where I was first. So, shame. I felt shame arise, and I've learnt by naming it out loud that it brings it out of the shadows and allows me to channel the emotion / part so that I can do parts work from my time working with my internal family systems therapist after Dad died, Adam. Go check out IFS, by the way, internal family systems. It's a great way of understanding how we're not, have I probably already mentioned this, but if I haven't, where you're not just Michael, you're Michael the son, Michael the brother, Michael the friend, sad Michael, angry Michael, happy Michael, organised Michael, chaotic Michael, and they're all the internal family that you've got there. And just like with people outside yourself, to understand them, you must listen and feel what they're feeling, and then come from a place of love and presence so that we can all be more peacefully inside. That usually ripples outside, and vice versa. Anyway, so shame named as much as it could. That part of me feels shame around, like being ugly, weak, stupid, being hairy, as you can tell. And I wasn't this hairy then. There's this weird thing about that I had as a young person. I used to shave my feet, and like people used to laugh at how hairy I was, but I love it now. Having a monobrow when I was younger, I used to get absolutely murdered in school for having like called caveman and monobrow, mono. Even when my mum plucked it for me in year 9, it was like, yes, X mono. I was like, what a silly thing to care about. Eyebrow hair. But yeah, you know what we're like as kids. It was like the bane of my life. Shame at not being able to save my dad. Having past issues with addictions, which started to pop its head up again before this trip. I was not in a good place. And so on. And a lot of tears came up. And a lot of the time, it was a very young boy voice coming from me. It helped that part to release. And then also to see it was a story we could let go of. But we ain't done. Then this part that was so traumatized by the loss of so much of my family. I'm just going on this walk through the forest where there's nobody because it's such a forest. And I'm just fucking snot everywhere, tears everywhere, just letting this, you know, because we don't really get the chance. I remember seeing a baby in Tesco having an absolute, just crying its eyes out. And I was like, I wasn't annoyed at it, I was jealous. I was like, I want a tantrum. We've got all this energy and just wants to be wildly let out, but we're all stabilized. So it was coming out. And yeah, traumatized by so much of my family, the loss of so much of my family in the space of 4 years. Not in the last 2, though, thank God. It screamed at what seemed like God. Yeah, I felt like I was just screaming at God because he was taking everybody from me. For the injustice and the sheer lack of decency and compassion. That's how it felt. That they were shown. The heart attack of my dad at 66, for his defense mechanisms that had protected him from a childhood that didn't even give him a dad. He left before he was even born. And a mum who treated him as if he was a little mini slave, if she wasn't shipping him off on his own when she didn't have use for him. To give in the 2 grandparents I'd known, 2 of the loveliest people I've known, dementia. And then the toll that had taken on all of us. To taking my uncle from a heart attack as he rode his bike back to my Auntie Lynn on their fucking anniversary. That's horrible, isn't it? Because he'd never known how to process his childhood and the trauma from being in the army. And how this had broken my auntie to pieces, understandably, right? How it had torn my mum up, because she loves all those people. And I was just so angry and crying, snot all over myself. You just got to picture this broken man walking through a forest, just screaming and crying. And all the time I am present and I'm letting it go through me, but I'm fully feeling it now. All this stuff that I just kept balled in. I'd run out of tissues by this point. I was a broken man screaming at the sky. Workers, if you can hear them. The little part of me that needs things to be perfect, like eye twitching, but I kind of think that it's funny. It's all part of it, right? You might not even hear it in the editing. If you'd have drove by, you'd have stopped and just held me. The grief was beyond words. Oh, but that wasn't enough. Oh no. Then I had some more parts work to do with resentment. This was weird. This was like, am I going nuts? And I'm present and loving, but also this feels crazy. I'm embodying this part and it's acting like a fucking demonic bit of me. As you can imagine, resentment does. This part of me was literally demented. It spoke monstrously. My jaw twisted as it spoke. It was weird. It was like, I'm not doing it justice. That was me being weird, but you get it. Which became very painful as it struggled under my loving gaze. So yeah, I was just witnessing it like, wow, you exist in me. And all my jaw was twisted. You can imagine that does hurt. And I just looked at it with love and it did not like it. It hated it. And I started walking like a zombie, like as if some broken being, as I embodied it. I even broke to my knees as it fought against every perceived wrong that was done to us. And that's how it spoke as well. It's not me, it's us. So it's protecting the other bits. It's all parts of you are always protecting the other bits. Never It's never selfish unless it's selfish to look after what you believe is a fractured part of you, if you get that, if I'm making sense. Taking so many loved ones, betrayed or abandoned by people I considered friends, being brought into a painful world, not getting to stay an innocent boy, having to process trauma, you name it, that part resented it, even being born. Like fear and aversion, it didn't want to be this way. It resented it, of course. That is the energy frequency of resentment. It snarled through me that it had been loving and innocent too once, before this cruel existence had twisted it so. It fought like mad to not be seen by conscious awareness. It wanted to work from the shadows. But like the others, it softened the more it dissolved into the love it should have gotten a long time ago. It was a protector part after all. It wanted to stop the terrible things happening to us. And it became a monster through this sacrifice. Nothing's evil and bad. It's just misunderstood. It threatened to drive us insane because it hated to lose what it had become. I mean, that's all it knows now. And that's what the ego is. It's attachment to beliefs and identities. So that's why you fight tooth and nail for the things that cause you suffering. Right? The devil you know. It groaned that it was a God energy and deserved better than this. Everything comes from God, so technically it's right. But it does, that part of you can only see from its lens. You can't see from the whole, which is why meditation, being present behind it, allows it to start getting other influences rather than just becoming in this trance of resentment, trance of anger, trance of joy, trance of lust. You become a whole integrated being with this ability to have a council rather than just one dictator at each time driving the ship. I hope that makes sense. To the ones who it's meant to, it will. But eventually, it softened as I offered to take the burden from it. Then there was the part that suggested suicide. Now, either you've had the nicest of lives and never had any trauma or suffering, or at some point that part's come up. And I want you to know I haven't met a person who hasn't had the suicide part come up. What is it? It's, let's take you away from this suffering, right? This is too much. Let's go somewhere where the suffering isn't. What a lovely part. Delayed gratification isn't its strong suit, but it is trying to look after you. So next time, if you ever have it come up, just observe, loving presence. You aren't the suicidal part. Kill myself and all the pain stops. Why kill me? Resentment and suicide, I've put. How would you go on too? Reasonable Michael countered and showed suicide that it would only begin a new cycle of rebirth into a new being that suffered in the same ways. One that may not get so lucky with its family. One who hadn't spent years learning how to process life in a healthier way. And then confusion appeared. This does end. I've literally put that in brackets and an exclamation mark. It's just this unfolding. It's a ripple. It's a domino. They all entwine with each other. There is no separation. It felt like I imagined Grandad felt as dementia ate away at his mind. Incoherent, unsure, lost, frightened. I showed it that we are far more aware and capable than it thinks. And finally, as I arrive back at the van, rage. I've put that in exclamation mark and capital letters. Oh boy, was he angry. The rageful part of me say, how dare I tear down all these defense mechanisms that were protecting the vulnerable ones. It understood that importance more than most parts of protector parts. Great writing. Let this be a warning to you. It was right, as you'll soon find out. Anger is a big brother that steps in when a vulnerable part doesn't know its ability to process an experience yet. It had been doing it since I was very young. It was exhausted. And with all the suppressed trauma of the last 8 days I've brought up, I can understand why. It was happy to have a break if I was to be more skillful. Oh, and confusion began, it said, when I was around 3, and I took a block off a boy at a baby nursery, and the woman who had seen me pull his hair when I didn't like his response told him to pull my hair back. In brackets, top adulting ladies. Clap, clap. Yeah, it's not great, is it? Eye for an eye on that. But I misunderstood that. And I thought they told me to pull his hair again, because I'm 3. Which I obliged. So I was very confused. For me, for years it was, like, more than I like to admit, I was really confused. I was like, why did I get in trouble for years? I was like, why did I get in trouble about that? They told me to pull his hair again. Figured it out in the end. When I then got shouted at and made to face a wall as punishment, that was where the confusion had first started coming, like where I was aware of the confusion, I guess. Because come out going, what the fuck's going on? Who are these people? What's going on? So quite the day, right? Wait for the denouement. Fucking hell. This next one has shook me something rotten. So now we're going to when I was trying to write about shame and an episode had come up and then it's 2 a.m. Remember me saying a core wound of fearing death was coming up as I wrote? Well, at first, I was shocked by how calm it was feeling in comparison to the moment. But the more I sat with it and dived deeper into the sensations, the harder it got. Fear of getting hurt also joined. Because fear of death clearly wasn't enough. Oh, hey, resentment's back. Ha. I got so deep, I reached what felt like a volatile and exploding star in my chest. The heat was indescribable. It felt like that part of me had a sister part who spoke to it when awareness reached it. She felt like the opposite, the empty void to his uncontrollable explosion of energy. It was mental. The more I sat with it, it was just like this thing in my heart center. It was just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. I had no psychedelics or anything. I'm just a sober guy in a van, and it just felt like it was exploding. And then as I just kept allowing it with love and awareness, this void came. It was almost like the feminine to the yin to the yang. It was the feminine to the masculine. It was the nothingness that allowed the star to explode into it with ease. It wasn't a very chill moment, but also was weird. Anyway, she told me it was not safe to leave. So basically she's saying it's not safe to be with this exploding part. That's how it felt. But I would not abandon this very deep and unstable part. Very Taurus energy for my astrology people. I will not leave. Loyal to a fault. I can't leave people behind. Not in the attachment sense, in the whole, like, I won't, no man left behind. If none of us are enlightened, if one of us isn't enlightened, then none of us are survived. If we're not all free, then none of us are free. You just can't abandon that part of yourself. Anyway, it triggered immense density all over my body. It became too much, and what followed has truly unhinged me. After everything else I've released and processed the last 8 and a bit days, it triggered a 20 to 30 minute deluge of the worst terror and screams of anguish and fright I've ever felt. You can imagine how that was. Nah, it's all good, man. It's nice to at least be there for those parts of yourself, as difficult as it is. Compassion's being with the suffering, not running from it. I worried it might never stop, which is a running theme It's not just scared of the moment, it's scared of the moment will never be any better than this, but all storms pass, eh? But I was determined to be the calm, loving presence beneath it all. I would not leave such a thing to be in this much suffering on its own, for it is me in a way. The void part had even said how beautiful and brave I was before I exploded. She missed out naive and foolish. I've learned, that's one thing. I was ready for it, but because you have to kind of go over the edge to grow and that, I guess. But like, I went too far because I was so desperate to remove the suffering, and maybe just misguided a little bit that you need to do it sustainably, little by little by little, or you just fracture too much, you fragment too much, you experience more than you really probably should, and it's traumatizing. Learn from that now. I've learned now why we must be more wise in what we release. We are not ready for everything. Not yet. I was not ready. Please let this be a warning if you hear this tale. It is better to be wise and go at a pace you can manage rather than trip over your arrogance and egoic ambition. At least I'm consistent. I just said that and then said it. I do it all the time, right? That's quite interesting. Defense mechanisms exist for a reason. They must be respected. Whether we like it or not, we can only handle so much with our current level of skill. I went too far. This sun burnt me. With charred fingers, I had to go out into the night for a walk. Figuratively speaking. I needed a break. I decided it was prudent to not take the world on my own. I did what all scared children do when they have been too overwhelmed by the terrors of this universe. Called me mum. No shame there. Turn to the people that you love and trust most in those moments. You don't have to be alone. I get the whole not being dependent on them and using them, but everything in balance, yeah. I called my mum, and I say this without shame. I have done my best to do this alone, with no distractions. Alas, I am no Christ. I am no Buddha. I'm proud of the progress I've made, but I'd gone too far. I'd been allowing panic to speak for 15 to 20 minutes beforehand. It felt it was time to admit defeat, to not be a hero, as my friend David would say. To pack up and go home. This is still an option, but for now what I called to my mum was a happy medium. I thought of Jules, but mum knows best. I wanted a friendly voice, a comforting conversation. We spoke for some time, and then by divine chance, two girls in their mid-20s, I'm in an ancient forest in Scotland, so I wasn't expecting this, but yeah, two girls in their mid-20s, and we are in the middle of nowhere, drove by, and then came back to ask where they get a view of the Northern Lights. It was such a... After everything I've been going through, to just have people just be like, you know where the Northern... And Scotty's like, do you know where the Northern Lights are, laddie? I'm not very good at accents, but... after blinding them twice with my head torch, I must have looked so dishevelled. I told mum I'd ring her back, and I could jump in and show them a spot near my van. It was just so nice for human interaction after everything I've been through in the last 8 days. I most definitely came across a bit erratic, but they were kind enough to show compassion. I jumped in, but when I got out to check it was the right turn, they wanted to go towards the water at the lock rather than to the deranged man's van in the forest. Understandable. They did say deranged, but one did joke that that was very serial killer vibes. It's funny. Juliet was like, come to my van in the woods. And I'm like, oh. Don't judge a book. I did what I usually do and made an outrageously daft joke. I said, "Don't worry, I've had my I've had my fill of killing for the day." Great way to set two young girls' minds at ease. I'd always do that, just make like this inappropriate joke, and because I know me, I know I'm not the deranged killer. I'm like, that's funny. They don't. They just met a dude who looks nuts in a forest. And out in the middle of nowhere in the pitch mic. And I put out in the middle of nowhere in the pitch black mic. Well done. Still, I asked if I could come with them, as I could do with the friendly faces after my latest trauma release. I think my anguish and down-to-earth nature won them over, and they obliged. Yet, clouds stopped us from observing any lights. They had been the lights I needed. Trust me, they don't understand how much I needed friendly faces in that moment. And dead down to earth as well, with like McDonald's and vapes and shit. Now, not wanting to be alone, I said we could have a fire pit going back at the van. But they had around 2 hours to drive back. Plus, my desperate tone probably didn't do me any favours, as I was not at my charming best. I called Mum back and said I would, as I said I would, and we chatted until gone 1 a.m. It helped to gain composure and clarity. I've done too much trauma work on my own, without any space holders. I will humble myself. The progress I've made already astounds me. She said she thought it'd be best to come home. I had nothing to prove. It was better to live to fight another day before I went too far. I will seriously sleep on it. Brackets, if these trauma releases allow me to get any sleep, that is. We chatted about the wisdom of distractions when reality goes extreme, beyond our capacity to hold the moment, without doing an unhealthy and counterproductive amount of damage. Call if I need to, go somewhere with humans for the day, like a walk, shop, castle. Put calming music on whilst I do soothing nervous system breathing exercises, sketch, etc. So yeah, today has pushed me to the edge. My words are not doing any justice. That was like, just reliving it, it's like, feels like the past life, not even me. Like, it was nuts. Hopefully, I've not already fallen off. Let's be wise, not foolish. Was 40 days too long, I've put. Fucking too right. Tune in to find out, I guess. Either way, there's no shame. Life takes us where we need to go. All right. Well, thank you for sticking around. This will be the last entry next time. Try and get it done next week so that it can be before I go to Medicine Festival and that, so we can get it all boxed off. And then after day 10, which you might have got, I'm saying it's a final entry, so you're kind of getting an idea that this didn't go to 40 days. And then I'll probably do a video just letting you know what's happened since. It's probably far more nuts than the forest. Yeah, you don't even know. Right, well, we won't ruin it for you. I don't like spoilers. But thanks for listening. I'll do that little advert telling you about the Dream Healer and the Agua de Florida sprays, which you can always get at the Meditation with Michael store. Got peppermint this time instead of Sticky Willy. But yeah, none of this is regretted, just so you know. Might sound a lot. You're a bit like, fucking hell, is this dude alright? Yeah, I'm alright. I'm actually a hell of a lot stronger. Some of the relationships now have become so powerful because of my ability to hold space, because I had to hold space for myself. Misguided as it was, I like to go extreme sometimes. I'm learning the in-between, the middle ground. Anyway, thank you for staying. Much love. Now there's me talking about some stuff. Peace and love, guys. Take it easy. Alright, so I said I'd tell you a little bit about you for herbals, eh? So, the Dream Healer. It's cool, this one. So this one, if you know, you know. We've got the blue lotus flower, which the Egyptians used to love. Lucid dreaming, it also calms the nervous system. You've got mugwort from this land, England, if you're watching from abroad. Bobinsana bark from Peru, and then rose petals to give it a bit of a gentle vibe. And then Bobby the Forager. Absolute genius. Imagine Walter White from Breaking Bad, but he's gone into the wellness community instead. And he says we don't put no poison with our medicine, and he's absolutely right. So we use apple cider vinegar, organic apple cider vinegar, and then a little bit of agave. And you have this before you go to sleep. And you like lucid, vivid, restful sleeps. And if you work with it for a while, because some people aren't sensitive to it straight away, it gets real interesting. So yeah, the Dream Healer, if you want to get onto that, it's on the Meditation with Michael store. I'll put a little link for you. And then we've got the Agua de Florida spray. Yeah, man. Again, no poisons, so no alcohol is in this. It's all organic, like witch hazel rather than alcohol and such, and water. And then he's made, Bobby again, Agua de Florida ether spray. So we've got the ether drop, the ether spray. Well, I mean, I can't make you smell it through the camera, can I now? So I'll take my word for it, but it's nice. So if you want one of these, feel free to go down to the store, and we'll sort you right out. You'll be helping out a local business with local people. And you can go into the dream world, which you spend 8 hours a day if you're lucky doing, and then get your aura all nice and cleansed. Alrighty, till next time, peace and love.